The next part of the story, the middle. Now, Tim and Lexi are there to visit their grandpa and to see this park. Hammond's grandson, Tim, loves dinosaurs. Loves. He reads all the books on dinosaurs, and I used to do that. I'd go to the library, and I found the section. It was a whole aisle, and you'd see there were books about animals that live today. There were like monkey books, hippopotamus and giraffe, and all kinds of different animals. You could read about reptiles, which are like lizards, turtles. You could read about fish and sharks. You could read about dinosaurs. There was a whole section of books that were just about dinosaurs. And those books were so much fun to read. I'd get books and just piles of them, and I'd just sit in my room and look at the books of dinosaurs. Well, Tim loves dinosaurs. He loves dinosaurs, and he can't wait to talk to Dr. Grant about dinosaurs. But Dr. Grant doesn't want to sit in the car with the little boy who can't stop talking about dinosaurs. He would like it quiet. They're going to go on a tour. These 2 jungle buses come up. There's a glass roof, and nobody is driving it. It has a couple of little cameras on the front like eyes that look down the track, but they drive themselves. They're on a computer program, and the computer program tells the cars to go or to not go. And they're going to sit in the cars and go through the park because you'll be safer in a car. In some places in Africa, or even in America, bear world. You'd get in your car, pay the money, and you'd go through a gate, and then you were in the cage with the bears in your car. And you didn't get out of your car because bears are dangerous, but you could drive through and you could look at all the bears. And that's what this Jurassic Park thing is going to be, that you get into their cars that are run on computers and you go through their park, and that way you don't get eaten by anything, but you can look at all the animals. So they start to go through. Hammond, he goes back into the control room, the computer room, and there's Dennis Nedry, the big guy we talked about, who has the big suitcase of money, and he's going to steal the embryos. He's sitting there, and he pushes the button and starts the tour. The cars start going. So Muldoon, and he's watching to make sure the people in the cars are safe. They start the tour, and they go by they go through some big gates that say Jurassic Park, and it goes and opens, and they go inside the park where the dinosaurs live. And it's very exciting. They can't wait to see. The first one is called Dilophosaurus. They're looking and they're looking on both sides of the car into the jungle. They're looking behind the trees. They don't see any dinosaurs. They don't see it. And the car keeps rolling right along, slowly through. So no Dilophosaurus. Well, they go a little further. And on your right, you'll notice this is the Tyrannosaurus Rex paddock. The paddock is like a pasture. It's where you keep the animal. There's a big wire fence that says 10,000 volts to keep the Tyrannosaurus Rex from coming over the fence. And they wait and they look, and they're looking and looking and looking up the hillside. There's just jungle, just thick jungle, and nothing. There's nothing. There's flies buzzing around. There's some mosquitoes, but there's no Tyrannosaurus Rex at all. And after sitting there for a minute, they go, a little door opens up on the other side of the fence, and up comes a little cage with a little white goat in it. And then the little cage goes down, and the goat stays. And the goat has a collar on. He's chained up to a little pole. And he starts to eat some grass. And Lexi, she looks at Tim and says, "He's going to eat the goat?" After a minute, it lays down. Nothing's happening. And pretty soon the cars start to move again. They didn't even see the Tyrannosaurus Rex. What a boring zoo. There's no animals. Have you ever been to the zoo and not seen any animals? It feels like a big ripoff, because you go to the zoo to see the animals, and then you go and it says this exhibit is closed. And then you go to this exhibit and it's like, we have polar bears, but they're actually around the back corner where you can't see them. And then this is where we have the gibbons. And the gibbon, he's sitting up at the top, and he's just sitting there looking down at you like, go away. I don't want to be looked at today. Go away. What are you doing? Get away from here. This is where I live, not where you live. Get out of here. So it's not looking real well. They keep on driving along, and Dr. Grant looks out across the field there, and he sees something. And he gets out of the car. He's not supposed to... Is he supposed to do that? He's not And everybody gets out of the car. Timmy, he jumps out of his car and starts following Dr. Grant. Well, they go and they climb through the fence and they go. And there's a Triceratops. Do you know what a Triceratops is? They're as big as a bus. They're a huge animal. They have 2 horns that come out above their eyes, and then they have a nose horn. And then they have a big kind of shield thing on the back of their head like this that protects their neck and the rest of their body, and it's got little horns around it. They're a really cool dinosaur. Triceratopses, they're like the size of an elephant. They're just a big, big animal. It's laying on its side. I'm going, has a stomach ache. And there's a doctor man right there. He has a shirt that says Jurassic Park on it and a hat that says Jurassic Park on it. Dr. Grant, he goes and he lays against the side of it. It's huge and it's breathing and he goes... And he just smiles. And he says, it was my favorite dinosaur as a kid. It was my favorite. And he can't believe he's actually looking at this wonderful dinosaur. It's sick, but it's just the most amazing thing ever to see a dinosaur so close. But then a thunderstorm started. Have you ever heard a thunderstorm? All of a sudden. And they all kind of jump because the wind is starting to blow and the clouds are getting thicker and there's lightning and thunder coming. And I think we should get back in the cars. So they get back in the cars, but Dr. Sattler decides she's going to stay with the doctor a little longer. He has a Jeep. And back at the computer station where they run the tram, they decide, okay, we've got to end the tour and get them back in. Just have them drive back. And Dennis Nedry, who's sitting over there on his computer, he hits the button that makes him come back. And there's a boat that's leaving. The boat is for all the people who work at Jurassic Park to go home on. So they're going to leave, and he's talking to the guy at the dock on his phone. I know I have to go, but just give me 15 minutes. Give me 15 more minutes. And the guy says, no promises. I'll talk to the captain and see, but we got to go. We got to go. And so Dennis Nedry, he gets his watch up there, and he clicks a little thing on his computer, and clicks his watch, and it gives him the time for when the lock will unlock on the refrigerator. And then he stands up and he says, I'm going to run down to the vending machine and get some soda or something. Just, anybody want anything? Anybody? And I'm doing a thing to the computers. It's going to run through some systems might shut off. So don't worry if locks start to go off or on or if the power shuts off or something. It's just routine stuff that it's doing. Okay, I'm going to go get my soda. And he leaves. He goes out and he goes sneaking around the corner to the refrigeration room, which he's not supposed to go in. He waits by the door for a minute. He's looking at his watch and then click and it goes and it unlocks the door to the refrigerator room. And he goes in there and he pulls out of his jacket the can of shaving cream. He opens the bottom with the little holes and then he pulls open the refrigeration unit with the embryos in it, with the baby dinosaurs. The dinosaurs that aren't baby dinosaurs yet. He opens it up. And these things come up and they've got little baby embryos all the way around. Of each one, it has little things that says what the embryo is so that when you want to make eggs for a certain kind of dinosaur, it says what it is. Little green tubes. Little tubes like that. And there's lights on them to show what everything is. And there's like Stegosaurus, Tyrannosaurus Rex, Brontosaurus, and he's pulling them off and he's just sticking them in. He doesn't even care what he's grabbing. He's just grabbing whatever there is. And he puts them all in there and he fills up the little thing and he screws it back together. And he puts it in his jacket and then he pushes them down and then he runs to the door and and it doesn't really lock. And the guys in the control room, they notice that the locks are turning off. There's a little thing bleeping, going showing the different areas on a map where the locks are off now. There's doors that are supposed to be locked, but they're turning off. And he says, well, you know, Nedry said that some stuff would turn off, so I guess it's just that. Well, he doesn't go back to the office. He goes to his Jeep and starts driving away. He's stealing baby dinosaurs. He drives on his way down the road, and the rain is coming down now. The storm is starting, and Lexi and Tim, they're in the cars that are coming back. They're running through the jungle, you know, the rain is falling, and they're just waiting, and then the cars stop. And they kind of look around like, why'd the car stop? I don't know. I didn't touch anything. It just stopped. So they stay in the cars. Anyway, go back to Dennis Nedry. He's driving down the road furiously trying to get to the boat to leave in time. He crashes his car kind of on a hill, but then just down the hill is where the road is. So he decides he's going to pull his car out. There's a thing on the front called a winch, and you pull the cable out, and you attach the cable to a tree, and then you hit the little motor, and it pulls the car over problems. Jeeps have them sometimes. If you look at the front of Jeeps or trucks, you might see a spool of wire there. That's called a winch. So he's using his little wire. He puts it around a tree, and he hears this little meow, meow. And he looks. There's nothing there. He looks around the other side of the tree, and as he looks around that side of the tree, around the other side comes this neck. It's a dinosaur. It's a Dilophosaur. And Dilophosaurs are usually bigger than that. Anyway, he's a little worried, and then he sees the Dilophosaur. It turns this way and looks at him, and he goes, "Oh, that's nice." Because dinosaurs are kind of dangerous, and he's not in his car in the place where you should stay in your car on the tour. There's a dinosaur, but it's a baby, sorta. It's small. It's like a little kid dinosaur. So he starts up to his car, and it jumps and hops up in front of him and is looking at him, and he doesn't want to play with the dinosaur, but it's looking at him, and so he picks up a stick and he's like, you want to fetch the stick? Fetch the stick. He throws it, and it looks at the branch and then looks back at him. And it's not going to run after the branch because it's not a dog. So he climbs up into his car thinking he's going to get away scot-free with all that money and all those baby dinosaurs. And there's a dinosaur in his car. And the dinosaur eats him. Oh, because if you get out of the car, you'll get eaten by dinosaurs. Well, meanwhile, outside the Tyrannosaurus Rex cage, our friends are still sitting in those Ford Explorers with the glass roofs so they can look up and see dinosaurs. There's no dinosaurs. There's nothing going on. It's just raining really hard. And it's dark, and the goat is over there just meh, meh, because it's raining, and the goat doesn't want to stand there in the rain, but he's chained up to the pole because they were trying to get the Tyrannosaurus to come out and eat the goat, but he didn't. And Timmy, he's sitting there. He got some night vision goggles out of the back. He jumps up and scares Lexi with him because they're these big goggle things. He starts to look around with these night vision goggles. He notices a sound. It's like a low, just a... And he stops and he hears another one. And he takes off the goggles and he looks around the car. And the lawyer who's in the car with him, he says, maybe it's the power trying to come back on. And then the little glasses that are up there on the front dashboard, they go. And the water just kind of shakes. And it's getting louder. And Timmy, he puts on the glasses again, the goggles, and he's looking around.